Hello, everybody, and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's Serge,
And my name is James.
and this evening, whether or not you're listening in the evening, who knows? But we're recording in the evening.
This one's probably going out. This one's probably going out at 8 in the morning. You've right stitched it up, mate.
Well, people will know when we're recording. We are joined by an FPL ledge, James.
Yes, I'm here, and Adam Hopcroft, our Aston Villa correspondent, is also joining us. So you can follow, obviously, you all know, at Hopcroft13. How are you, Adam?
Yeah, I'm really good, thanks. How are you guys?
Very well, thank you, mate.
Probably been a bit better if we'd beaten you on the last day and you'd gone down, you claret and blue bastards.
Wow, we did our best. We did our best to throw it away. I think you got a bit lucky with the deflection, but yeah, no, I'm glad I'm still here.
Back for another season.
Exactly.
I'm glad I'm still here and not a part of Planet EFL. Yeah, we know, mate.
Yeah.
You must be delighted, mate, because you looked finished, mate.
Do you know what we did? And massive credit to Dean Smith. I think there was a couple of times after Christmas and just before the lockdown period, I really questioned Dean Smith and his tactics, because what he did for the final part of the season, it does make you think, why couldn't that have happened earlier? I think it was partly injuries, partly players settling down, but I think the togetherness of the team, because even going into the last 4 games, we looked anything but safe. And, the togetherness of the team, I think how we defended was exceptional. It was more down to, could we get the goals that we needed? So delighted to be here. And I actually think Villa will kick on this season. I don't think I'm not expecting necessarily a top half finish, but I'm expecting a bit more of a enjoyable season if possible.
16th it is then. Congratulations, Adam.
Yeah, I think there'll be progress for Villa. I don't think they'll, given the ambition of the owners and the fact that some of the key players really started to come into their own. Douglas Luiz, Konza towards the end of last season. And we haven't got the same transition that's needed. I think, the number of players, 12 first team players, people in the first team squad last season was a lot to bring in. So we haven't got that this season. So I think we'll just be looking to sign, 3, 4, maybe even 5 players, but just adding in, one in each position. So yeah, I think I'm looking forward to the season.
I suspect, if you said to me now which 3 teams will go down, not once have I said Villa. I do think it will be a bit better for you as well. And I think a lot of that comes from just quite simply looking at what we've seen during restart and some of the defensive numbers. So, you'll be aware of most of this, Adam, but 3rd best expected goals conceded for all teams during restart.
And we played one game more as well.
That's right.
So
your expected goals conceded was 9.6 in 10 games. In those 10 games, you conceded 11 goals. That's really good. That's the sort of stuff that generally would have you finishing, even whatever you did offensively. If you do that over 38 games next season, you'll finish about 10th or 11th, mate.
Probably
just on that alone.
You'll finish where Palace finished, because that's what they do, isn't it? Really?
yeah, exactly.
So I think that's probably where my confidence in that comes from. Also, what happened in the end, and I think actually the key turning point for belief within the club was the Liverpool game. Because I thought the tactics, what you said with Dean Smith, I thought walking into the Liverpool and United games, he was dead man walking. I even thought that they were possibly holding on to him to appoint someone afterwards to try and get you safe. But the tactical display at Liverpool was as good as anybody put up at Anfield last season.
I thought
from a tactical point of view.
I would agree. The Anfield performance was really, really encouraging, and we were unlucky not to get something that day. I think we could have, we had some decent chances on the break, but yeah, I think, what Smith did that day was very, very encouraging. And I think you're right in terms of belief, but I think throughout the whole lockdown period, except for the United after we conceded the penalty, if I put that down to a bit, and they were in incredible form at the time, but we conceded a penalty that wasn't really, and that changed the game. I think Trezeguet hit the post earlier on in that game. And I think apart from that second half of that game, I thought we were in absolutely every game and in lockdown. And, we might have had, teams might have had the better of us, but it was competitive. We weren't totally embarrassed like we were in earlier parts of the season. If anything, the thing that we struggled with was creating chances and taking chances. So that's I think that the big thing for me this season, and the thing that would really, really disappoint me, is if we lose that solid shape and foundation and just almost throw all that hard work out the window. We've got to take that forward, and then just add to the attacking part of the game.
I thought you was going to say you'd be disappointed if they get rid of goal line technology, mate.
Well, yeah, I think it was one of those, and
listen, when it goes for you, it's one of those, isn't it?
Yeah,
Speaking
exactly.
like a proper manager, mate.
Exactly.
It's one of those. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't.
I think because of the if it had happened in the 90th minute, could have quite easily said Sheffield United would have won the game, but because it happened, and I think to be fair, we're the better team in that game.
You were actually,
because it happened halfway through the game. It's impossible to say what would have happened. We might have, goals do change games, and we might have, threw caution to the wind a little bit more. But yeah, we had a few things go for us, but
I think we'd gotten used to VAR being wrong, but we hadn't ever had goal line technology be that wrong. That's what it was more. Okay, yeah, you're right in that you say some go for you, some go against you. And that's what VAR did all season. But goal line technology, you'd think at least that they've got to be able to get that right.
Yeah, I was asking myself if my eyes were lying because I knew what I was watching. Sorry, Adam.
Yeah, do you know what? I think the other goal that I think the Jack Grealish, not the Jack Grealish, it was Lansbury that scored against Palace early in the season, and Jack Grealish was pulled back for diving, and I think that to me was a little bit evened it out, because there was no way on earth that should have been given, and that cost us a point, and you could argue that gained us a point against Sheffield United. I think the thing that surprised me was how bad VAR was, because surely they can be intervened. It was so obvious it was over the line, and
they just don't.
Yeah, it was. I mean, if that's not I mean, I know it wasn't technically the ref's error, but they should have intervened in that. And I think the officials, at Stockley Park, were as much to blame, because they could have actually brought it back and awarded a goal. I don't think there was ever a chance Villa were going to give Sheffield United a goal, given the situation we're in.
The Lansbury goal, was it game week 4?
Yeah, it was fairly early. 4 or 5.
I think that was a refereeing error, wasn't it? And you reminded me of another one there, talking about Palace, was the Sacco goal.
That definitely went for us. But I think on that one, the handball situation that needs to improve next year, because there isn't much clarity. And I know FIFA have tried to change the law, but I saw quite a few interviews last year with referees that couldn't tell you what was shoulder and what was handball. It was the most ambiguous. I thought it was a goal. I thought it come off the top of his. It didn't come off his arm. It come off the top of his back almost. So it should.
You had one at Leicester as well. Tyrone Mings, just coming to think about it as well. A handball given against you,
which probably wasn't. So
nobody knew if it was or it wasn't.
Yeah, and we had one at Arsenal where it was pretty much. I think when I look back over the season, there's probably been things where it has evened out, but I think the attitude over lockdown of the players, we might have lacked quality at times, but the togetherness, the tactics, I think there was no panic, and that's the thing that impressed me the most, because we were in a desperate situation, and always, with time running out, there was absolutely no panic from anybody. So. And the message was there seemed to be the belief there that we were going to do it. So no, I think it's exciting times for Villa. If I'm led to believe what I'm led to believe is true, we should have a lot of money to spend, and it's just about getting the right players now. So,
do you think that will translate into FPL potential players? And I'll add a caveat and say, we know you're not playing in game week 1, which makes it very tricky for people to pick Aston Villa players now. But based on the drafts that we've been seeing, we've seen quite a few players that have been picked from Burnley or wherever else.
Yeah.
As it stands, there is only one Aston Villa player, bar Keenan Davis and the goalkeeper, who's 4 million and 4.5 million.
It's got up
with
to 3
more than,
now.
Oh, is it? With more than 3% ownership, 2% ownership. There's only one player, and you don't need a medal to guess who that is.
Yeah.
Everybody else is under 2% ownership, which partly I think is due to the fact that you're not playing in game week 1, but also partly because I don't know if there's any assets there for us.
It depends would be the answer. I think if we continue defensively how we finished last season, and you would think that the common sense behind the scenes would be that's what we need to do. I just hope it wasn't like this is the tactics for the last 10 games and now let's go back to the attacking side of things. So I think Mings has been overpriced at 5. I think if we're sticking with 4 out of the back, I'm not a massive fan of either of the fullbacks, but I like Konza. I think he's looked a bit of a threat from set pieces. And a lot of our goals and attacking play or big chances did come from corners or Hurahan set pieces. So I do like Konza. I think at 4.5, if we're as defensively solid as we were for the last 10 games of the season, I think he could be a bargain. But I think other than that, it depends on who we sign, because I would expect we've been linked strongly with Ollie Watkins. If he comes in, he'll probably be 6 million in the game. Villa have got good fixtures. He could become an option, but it's only if we've got a spell of decent fixtures. I mean, Grealish is always going to be an option at points in the season, I think, but I'd be reluctant. Other than the ones that you've mentioned already, I think Nyland as a backup keeper, I'd be reluctant to start with any Villa players.
Is that obvious, Nyland? Because there does seem to be a small underground of thought that actually he wasn't great during the restart, Sheffield United goal, etc. That Steer will get favouritism over him now, but I don't see that. Is that your thought process as well?
I think because Steer was available towards the end of last season, and I think what originally happened last season is when Heaton was injured. I think was it against Wolves, and Steer come on, and Steer got injured, and then Nyland became the backup goalkeeper. I think Nyland probably will start. That said, Villa are apparently in the market for competition for Heaton. So Heaton will be back game week 5. So I think if we can find somebody that we feel that could compete and is good enough to challenge for the number 1, then that would take Nyland out of the equation. But I think he's a 4 million keeper. Most people that go with that tactic will be comfortable playing set and forget. I currently have him with McCarthy, and to be honest, I'd potentially start McCarthy in game week 2 anyway. So over Nyland. So yeah, I think it's like a tactical bench pick rather than anything else. And I think it's a wait and see. If Villa defend how they did the last 10 games of the season, I think they could be. I mean, with some of the 4.5 options, including Heaton when he's back, or if we do sign a new keeper, I think defence could be a really, really good value pick. Because like you said, there was only Wolves and United who were better than us at the end of last season. But it's a big if, because I don't know if that was just a short-term thing or if it's a long-term. We're actually just going to be more solid, which I hope is the case.
Could be. I mean, the frightening thing with yourselves, particularly around the Christmas period, was just getting battered on a counter-attack. Every time you lost the ball, you were in danger. And the only time we really saw that in the restart period was probably Mason Greenwood's goal against you. So it was like everything just got completely shut down to make sure that sort of incident doesn't happen anymore. It's interesting you favour Konsa over Target, because that wouldn't be my instinct if you were thinking of going that way.
The reason for it, I think when we were playing 3 at the back or 5 at the back, the relationship that Target had with Grealish was brilliant. I mean, it's still okay, but the problem with Target, he's not particularly quick. And I think he struggles. I think when he was playing a little bit more advanced, it helped him get into better attacking positions, because he was very, very good was very good when he was playing wing back from an attacking perspective. Got a few goals. Looked very dangerous. Over lockdown, I don't think, or after lockdown, I don't think for me, I think he had like one shot, created 3 or 4 chances, and most of our threat came from set pieces. So if I was to guess where we were going to get goals from, it would be we'd be more likely to get something off a free kick. The other reason is very injury prone. He had a lot of knocks last year and went off. So that's just personal preference out of the two. I think Konza will be good for BPS as well, because he likes to pass the ball. So that there isn't much in it. Obviously, we'll wait and see at the start of the season. It could be that Villa were just a little bit more cautious with their fullbacks towards the end of the season. So they might actually get Target pushing up a little bit more.
That's an interesting one to follow that. I like the theory behind that in terms of the set plays, less creating of opportunities from open play during restart, etc. Yeah, adds up. I can see that. I mean, Constant still wouldn't appeal to me, but I that would well put me off target as well.
Yeah, I think it's like I said, it's just a wait and see. I think the other big thing about Villa, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for our defensive displays, was how good Douglas Luiz was. And I mean, his performances,
Much better.
He was incredible. He was our best player post lockdown, and I think we were concerned that City were going to take him back at some point, but he made us a lot more solid. I think another point is he comes across like a leader. I think apparently he'd had troubles with the English language, and he was only in training 2 days before the first game against Spurs. So it obviously took him a while to settle, but he's definitely settled. He's a leader in our team, and he's improved us so much. And I think that's what gives me confidence going into next year. I think we've got some big characters in the likes of Mings. I think Douglas Luiz is, McGinn, Grealish. So if we were to sign 3 or 4 players that are capable of competing in the first team, I think we've got the makings of a mid-table team. If we keep, like you said, we've got to be able to grind out those 1-0 wins, which fortunately we were able to do towards the end of the season.
You've probably importantly got to keep the one very, very good player that you've got as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yesterday I was gutted for Grealish because he's. I just do not know. I think something's happened when Grealish and Southgate were in the. He was overseeing the under-21s, because technically he's incredible. He's got the way England play. He's perfect for the 8 role in the sense that he can transition the ball and get it forward quickly. He can keep hold of the ball. He's composed to keep the ball in tight spaces. He can win free kicks. It's just perfect for international football, particularly when England are going to be dominating possession. So if teams are sitting back, we have an option there. But also, if we're playing the better teams, he can bring the ball and actually get the ball forward quickly into those. So some of the excuses Southgate was coming out with, I think he feels Villa fans are bitter because he, went to Middlesbrough. Absolute rubbish. I just cannot see how he's not in the squad. I saw your tweet as well, and I know obviously about it. It just completely baffles me, and I feel sorry for him because the effort he has put in to get there. It's just shocking. I think he'll stay at Villa, and I think the only reason I think he will. And I don't think he'll push to leave Villa because of the loyalties there, but I think he'll stay because 80 million is a lot of money in the current circumstances. And if you look at the other clubs, you've got United have just offered Henderson a bumper contract. They're signing Sancho potentially. That's on the cards. So big outlay. And I think City, we've obviously everything's been linked with Messi. I just don't see anybody coming in for him because Villa don't need to sell, and because we don't need to sell, the asking price is going to be above what probably anybody's going to be prepared to pay. So I expect him to be at Villa next season. Obviously, that things can change, but I've been seeing him in training. He doesn't look an unhappy player. I think he's popular with the players there. So I'd be surprised at the moment if he's not a Villa player at the start of the season.
I agree with you there as well, Adam. The one thing with the England thing that annoys me, it's always this this, I don't know if you call it a stereotype, but that you have to play for one of the big clubs to get into the England squad. And that perpetuates
Tyrone
that
Mings is in
argument.
though, isn't he? So
Yeah, I know, I know.
it's a nonsense, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
Kane in there.
And
as
Villa
well,
are a
haven't you?
big club. Villa are a big club in
Yeah.
fairness as
I've-
well.
I've-
No,
Right?
but
I've-
you're
So
talking about the top six. If you're not in the top six, or had Grealish been at one of the top six clubs,
he's just picked.
would it be
He's
easier
just
for him
picked
to get
Calvin
into the
Phillips, who
England
ain't played a Premier League game yet.
Yeah,
I'm
and I think
I'm
in
not saying
fairness,
the guy
James
ain't
Ward,
really talented, but
James Ward Price is in there. I've got nothing against any of the players he's picked because I can see the reasons he's picked them, but to not even give him a chance, because I do really think there is something personal between Southgate and Grealish, or something he saw in the under-21s he didn't like. But he's a different player from 4 or 5 years ago. He's massively improved, and it can't be anything attitude-wise because he's basically selected someone who's gone out and had a fight abroad. You know, couple of other players who breached lockdown rules. So, he's had a lot of disciplinary issues within the squad. So it would be a bit hypocritical to not select Grealish for those reasons. So, yeah, I'm completely baffled. Like I said, I think the players he's put in there, Calvin Phillips, I think he hadn't played a Premier League game is completely valid, but I do like Calvin Phillips and I do think he should be in the squad, but
not even comparable players. It's just more the point of what's the excuse for not picking Grealish? Basically, is all I want to know. It's not even comparing any two players, and to say what you picked 24 players, you couldn't have made that 25 to go and have a look at him is ridiculous. Villa would have benefited, in my opinion, from going as well and being a part of it.
Of course they would have.
From a fitness point of view, go and play a couple of competitive games, etc., would have been really good for him as well. So I can understand some of the anger. I can't see him getting sold because I think, like you, I think for him, it's okay. If I'm going to go to probably one of the Manchester clubs or Liverpool or something. And I don't see any of them being in a position where they want to buy him at the moment. I think that's more the bigger thing. I think, if suddenly Tottenham come up with the money, I don't think that's what Jack Grealish is visualising at the moment. I think he's thinking, well, I might as well hang on here for another year. And then if it costs someone 100 million in 2 years' time, fine, that's what it costs. This is clubs. He's not in a desperation to leave. Is he, if we just remove the whole blank game week 1 thing for the moment, can he still be a good asset for us at 7 million?
Yes, he can. And I think, what did he get? 8 goals, 6 assists or 7 assists last year. So I think he definitely can do. But the area of his game he needs to improve, in my opinion, is he's not ruthless enough in front of goal. And he started, I think actually in fairness to him, the last couple of games of the season, he really tried, particularly against Everton away and against West Ham, he tried to make things happen a little bit more and he was a little bit more, selfish. And the goal, probably Fabianski should have saved it, but that's what you want to see more of. And I think sometimes he can be a little bit, not shoot as much. I think he does need to work on his shooting as well. That's where someone like Maddison has got a complete edge. So that for me is the big part of Grealish's game that lets him down. And it would take him up a level if he could finish by like someone like Mahrez cutting in and doing that. So I think he can be an asset. He improved. It improved. On the previous season, the Championship. So he got more goals in the Premier League than he did in the Championship. I think he just needs to constantly be improving. I think if we have a good run of fixtures, definitely worth it. I think also the other thing is who we sign as a striker. I think that could make him even better. Because at the moment, arguably, Keenan Davis and Samatta, they're not going to score goals. So he's missing out on assist potential there. So I think if we signed, if we sign a decent striker, I think that will help him as well.
Where should he play?
Personally, I think he should play as an 8 or an 8.5. And what I mean by that is I think if we're going to build an exciting team, you want him on the ball, take more centrally firstly, and I think there's other players around that can play the wide roles, but I think is almost on the counter attack. I think he's good at picking the ball up deep and running at people. I think almost like a free role to an extent. So I'd have McGinn and I'd have Luis sit sitting deeper, McGinn's on the right hand side, and Grealish on the left, inverted. And what I would do is for both of them, McGinn to make the late runs into the box, and Grealish just to pretty much go and do what he wants, dominate possession. I think in the games where we are up against the elite teams, maybe that's the time, because I think he played a diamond against Liverpool, or against some of the teams he's played diamonds and played Grealish at 10. You might put him out wide for some of those. The only problem with putting him out wide is that, and this happened against Chelsea, is that he's expected to do a lot of work going back and forth, covering and tracking runs, which isn't his game. Whereas what you could have is you could have him in a 3 in midfield, and the sort of stuff he's doing is keeping hold of the ball, winning smart free kicks, taking the pressure off. So I think it just depends tactically how we set up. And I think, and again, also it depends who we sign. But I almost think he's not quite a number 10. He's good on the wing, but I quite like him almost in that sort of Gaza position, running at people, committing people.
Central midfield, but free.
Yeah, but I think if you've got McGinn and Louise, you can do that. But I think that at times Villa just lacked the players in the final third, and they weren't confident enough in El Ghazi and Trezeguet that they had to play him there. In the Championship the year before, where he had his best run, was in that exact. He was playing as an 8, and I like him in that position. It'll prove something wrong to Southgate as well.
I was going to say I like the sound of that midfield 3 a little bit better, with Foden just to his right and Henderson behind.
Yeah, exactly.
It's perfect, isn't it? There's nothing wrong with that as a midfield 3.
I mean, technically, we struggle producing these types of players. It's mad, and that's the thing that I can't understand. But I would like to see him play there for Villa, because I think it will make us a better team. Because he'll be on the ball more. I think if him, Louise and McGinn on the ball, he's a really strong midfield, in my opinion. You've then got a fairly, we've got decent centre-back pairing. So it's about just getting, a couple of wide players and a striker that can hopefully get us the goals.
Just having a look through here, some of your fixtures a little bit longer, Adam.
Yeah.
So game week 16, 17, 18, which is essentially, it's potentially going to be the blank game week 18. But 16, 17, 18 as it stands now is Chelsea away, Manchester United away, Tottenham at home. 3 difficult fixtures. But other than that, between game week 6 and game week 31, you play Arsenal twice, home and away. And those are your fixtures against the Big 6. So
I was pleasantly surprised. Yeah, I was usually, and you're exactly right what you said. I was pleasantly surprised with our fixtures, because usually you're looking there and you think, oh no, November, I'm not looking forward to that. But I don't think we necessarily had any parts of the season that I was thinking, oh no, that's going to be really challenging. So yeah, I think that the fixture list is good, and I actually think I'm actually pleased we're not playing first, because I think it gives us a bit more time. It actually
can't be bottom.
Yeah, exactly. And also as well, it gives us more time for recruitment. So
yes, true.
Because October the 5th, isn't it? So we play 3 games before, 3 Premier League games, one of which is Liverpool. So you think that's a bonus game.
Swing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So there's only really 2 matches, which are Sheffield United and Fulham, that we've got before the transfer window closes. So I'm quite happy with that, because that means, well, depending on obviously if they move the City game, but I think that gives us a little bit more time. And I think our first game is a League Cup game as well. So again, it gives a little bit more time to warm up for the game against Sheffield United, which I'm sure they'll be looking for revenge at our place. So
I think that the point is October, November, December is not that bad. And then coming into mid-January up until April is also a decent spell for you. What I would say is if you're in the bottom 3 come April, you're in a lot of fucking trouble, mate.
I was going to say
because the running's tough, really tough.
The running is horrible.
Do you know what, though? Our running coming back after lockdown was horrible. I think we probably had worst. We had such a bad fixture list. So again, that's something that I think we can take a lot of confidence from. So no, I'm looking forward to it. The big thing for Villa though is the signings, and yeah, I think they've talked a lot. There's been a lot of talk in the press about spending money, but then it's just gone quiet. I think we're one of 6 teams not to sign anybody so far, which I've complete trust in the new sporting director, new head of recruitment, but we'll have to wait and see.
2 quick questions before we let you go, Adam, which are FPL
Yeah.
related. One, are we sleeping on Trezeguet a little bit as an option? 5.5?
Yeah. I wouldn't be bringing him in yet.
Forget that.
Yeah.
Is Davis the best 4.5 million forward? We're not suggesting he's a starting option or anything, but is he the best at that price, do you think?
No, I think he will probably go out on loan. I don't think he'll be involved with the squad with Samatta, because we've got Samatta, Wesley coming back, and we're very, very likely to sign an additional striker. So I don't see Davis being involved in the first team squad. I think the one to watch out for, is people have probably mentioned today, is Brewster, and if he goes to any club,
loan, right?
Yeah,
maybe yourselves, mate.
He could do. Yeah, I'd be happy to definitely be happy to have him if he comes. I mean, he's got 3 goals in pre-season. So, but yeah, I think I don't think Davis is going to be with the club. I'd highly expect him to be loaned out.
Cool. I'm going to assume that there will be no Villa players in your game week 1 team, bar the 4.0 Nyla.
You are correct. Yeah.
And I think it's really valuable for all of our listeners to get insight from fans of the clubs to know that, if a Villa fan is not picking any Villa players, that says something from
a game might have been helpful, in fairness.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Think of it this way, Adam. You ain't playing. It would have been Manchester City away. So when I was saying the good,
it wouldn't have made a difference, would it?
So exactly. So when I'm saying the good news is you won't be bottom, I wasn't actually joking.
Yeah, no, I know exactly.
No, but on the flip side, if you do have some decent results in the first 3 or 4 with that fixture run that James mentioned, I think we'll be tapping you up to say, where do we look now from Villa? Because it's a really tasty run.
Well worth a watch defensively on them numbers, genuinely.
And for anybody that doesn't follow Adam on Twitter already, what are you doing? You must have about 1 million already, Adam, but it's Hopcroft 13, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly that. So do head over there and follow him for any Villa and FPL related tweets that you can find, and obviously ask him for any advice.
When do your hub pods normally go out as well, Adam?
Hub pods usually come out Tuesday morning.
Cool.
Perfect. There we go.
Regards to the guys.
Cheers. Indeed. Thanks.
All right, that's it from me.
Are we done in the Midlands yet, James, or do we have any more Midlands clubs to go for? We've been through Leicester, we've been to Wolves, we've now done Villa.
You're asking me who's next, aren't you? I don't even know. I will
do you want me to tell you? We're going
oh my God,
Manchester.
it's going to get messy.
We're going to Manchester, indeed. And I think it's a little, it's not too much to share that we had a cheeky message from our Manchester City correspondent saying, I'm looking forward to the pod, with an Argentinian flag in the tweet, in the message.
I don't know why you do these things so far in advance, when between now and us releasing the podcast, he might have signed for Paris Saint-Germain, or more likely signed a new contract. But
he probably will. Any excuse to say, you weren't going to get Messi anyway. So there we go. Do stay tuned wherever you listen to the podcast: iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify. Get subscribed and you'll get notified as soon as the pods go live. There's still a handful to come out this week with all our correspondents. Other than that, as always, stay safe. Ciao for now.
Thanks, Adam. Cue music, please, man child.